Hey, it's Thomas with PuraTHRIVE Nutrition, and we're taking a bus ride on some red blood cells. Today I'm talking about vitamin B12, also known as cobalamin, okay? B12, we all hear about it as this big energy powerhouse. We need it for energy, which is very, very true, but I want to clear one thing up. It's not like caffeine. You don't just get this quick boost of energy by taking B12. You actually get something better. You get a precursor to energy. So not only do you get the energy, but you get this exponential increase in energy because you're fixing your energy problems right at the source. So let me explain what vitamin B12 is. Okay? Vitamin B12 is a water-soluble vitamin, just like many other vitamins out there. But what that means is that every time that you urinate or every time you excrete, you're losing it. So you have to be taking it in just as fast as you're excreting it. The problem with vitamin B12, our bodies don't store it. Sometimes we can store a tiny, tiny bit in the liver, but generally speaking, we don't store it at all, which means we need to constantly be getting it from the diet or from a supplement. And as you've seen in my other videos, our foods these days are so depleted of vitamins and minerals, we're probably not getting enough right then and there. But you deserve to know what B12 is doing in your body. You see, B12 is involved in creating new red blood cells. New red blood cells are what carry oxygen to the cell to be able to use for energy. But additionally, B12 helps with carbohydrate metabolism. How many times have you eaten carbohydrates and felt like you're not getting energy from them? Well, it could be a B12 issue, because B12 is going to help those carbohydrates convert into glucose so that your cells can use them for energy. So those are just the two simple ways that B12 helps the most. But I want to go into some detail as to why we are so deficient and how B12 actually works in the body. You see, when you consume vitamin B12 through a food, it has to go through a two-part process in order to be utilized. What that means is it gets ingested, and then hydrochloric acid in your stomach breaks apart one of these peptide protein bonds. It breaks it apart so that the B12 can be absorbed. But then the B12 has to bind with something that's called the intrinsic factor, which is a protein that's in your GI system and in your stomach. The B12 binds with the intrinsic factor, and then it can be uptaken and utilized. So you can see it's a little bit of a process. That's why you see a lot of people that go and get B12 shots all the time, but that can be a little bit cumbersome having to go down to the doctor every week just to get an injection of B12. Well, how can you make sure that you're getting enough B12? Well, one way is through a liposomal delivery where the vitamin is actually protected and can get to the source. But the other way is also understanding how it works in your body so that you can make sure you get enough. You see, what it actually does is it helps create these red blood cells. You're creating millions and millions of red blood cells every minute. But did you know that without B12 in place, you're not creating as many, but you're also reducing the efficiency and the effectiveness of how those red blood cells are created, meaning you could be making red blood cells that aren't functioning properly, just being a waste of space in your bloodstream. Now, this also has to do with something that's called hemoglobin. Okay, hemoglobin is what carries oxygen to the cell, but then also carries the carbon dioxide waste back to the lungs so that you can exhale it out. So it not only plays a big part in energy production, but it plays a big part in waste excretion from your body, especially from a respiratory standpoint. Okay, now another thing we have to factor in. B12 works with other B vitamins, specifically B9. Okay, this is also known as folic acid or folate, which normally sounds like such a boring vitamin. We just hear it all the time, but we never really care what it does. Well, that helps support iron in the body. And if you've seen my other videos, you know how important iron is, but it has to be in the right place. So what we don't want to happen is something that's called megaloblastic anemia. And that is essentially the depletion of B9 and B12 that makes it so that your cell cannot carry iron properly and therefore affecting hemoglobin levels. That means you're not getting oxygen and your body remains in a toxic state. So we want to do everything we can to avoid that. How do we do that? Supplementing vitamin B12. Now, this wouldn't be a typical Thomas DeLauer video if I didn't have a little bit of a research bomb to drop some knowledge on. Now, the study that I want to reference here is called the Framingham Offspring Study, and it was done by the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. And what they found with this study is they took 3,000 individuals. These 3,000 individuals consumed normal diets with grains, with cereals, with meats, and everything like that. And then they measured their B12 levels after an extended period of time. They found at the end of this study that 39% had a deficiency in B12. What this ultimately told us is that 2 to 3 out of 5 individuals end up having a deficiency in B12 and are not getting the energy that they need and are not getting the waste removal that they need. Pretty alarming number right then and there. And I think it circles right back to the fact that our food supply is depleted in vitamins and minerals. I want to circle back to the carbohydrate thing really quick because I don't know a single person that's not interested in utilizing carbohydrates more efficiently. So like I mentioned at the beginning, these red blood cells, this B12, it's all critical to utilizing carbohydrates into glucose. That's why you find that people that are deficient in B12 usually end up having lower energy levels. They're not getting the glucose that they need. But there's one more thing. B12 plays a big role in what's called nerve signaling. How many times have you ever been working out or trying to work out? You just feel like your muscles aren't working, your body's not working. That very well could be a B12 deficiency because the nerve signaling isn't telling your muscles to contract at the right period of time. This plays a huge, huge role in just feeling active and being able to get up and get moving and burn calories in the first place. And last but not least, vitamin B12 plays a big role in your immune system. Have you ever heard of SAMe before? Maybe you've seen it in the supplement section of your grocery store. It's called S-adenosylmethionine. And what that SAMe does is regulates your immune system. It helps enzymatic activity in your immune system so inflammation levels can stay low and you can stay active and stay healthy. So at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you're getting enough vitamin B12. You need to make sure that you're getting it every single day because every single time you take it in, your body's working just as fast to get rid of it. So as always, try a liposomal form where your body's going to be able to retain it, you utilize it better, and you're not just going to pass it through your system fast as you take it in. As always, I'm DeLauer with PuraTHRIVE Nutrition, and I will see you in the next video.